because we are here for Married at First Sight, season 17. We on episode 9 and we still in cold Denver. Yes, we are. We on season 17, episode 9. Is that what we are? It's called Wigging Out. That's what they're calling it. And we might want to call it Wigging Out because these are some disguises. These are absolutely some disguises. And just like my thumbnail said, are they all con artists? Are all of these men left on the show con artists? You know, last week I started saying I'm not believing this stuff. I'm not believing it. The only person I said, oh, well, maybe I do believe Cameron a little bit. Maybe it was Claire is the one that's underground. This episode got me flip-flopping more than Orion. I'm flip-flopping over here more than Orion because, y'all, I think we in the Matrix. I think they got us in the Matrix. I think there's some trickery going on here and things are trying to appear one way, but they're another way because I'm telling you, this episode with all the friends coming on exposed some double-mindedness, some double talk. Even them drunk friends of Emily, she definitely a drunk and all her friends are drunks too. They couldn't even hold their liquor at a little bitty old party that couldn't have lasted that long. But they got caught in the Matrix and they were so drunk they couldn't wiggle out of it. I tell you, Brennan was over there talking about you ain't got no evidence of it. What are you talking about? What are you talking? You can't get me on nothing. You can't get me on nothing. And they couldn't admit what Emily had told them. They couldn't say, well, this is what Emily told us because they couldn't throw their girl under the bus. But they knew they had a whole lot of evidence, but they couldn't produce it. And I'm going to tell you, Brennan was doing like this the whole time in the Matrix. He says, you coming at me. You coming at me. You ain't coming out with me nothing solid. But we going to get to it. Let me not get too ahead of my video. We going to get to it because I'm telling you, y'all, we caught in the Matrix this episode. They trying to keep us in the Matrix, but they talk about wigging out. We going to wiggle out of this Matrix in this video. But first of all, you know what? I got to shout out to all y'all and tell you, thank you. I done woke up this morning to 5,000 subscribers. I can't believe it, y'all. I can't believe when I started doing this YouTube channel and I started doing it just so I could talk about these shows with all of y'all. I did not believe that 5,000 people would come and watch with me. I'm so happy. I am so happy. And I really want to say a thank you to all of you for supporting my channel, all my ride or dies, everybody who's been with me here from the very beginning. And I know it's rough with my sound quality, me yelling. Y'all growing with me. You growing with me. I'm going to get better and I'm going to keep getting better. So hopefully by the time, I get more subscribers, 10,000, whatever it's going to be, I'll be even better. But I want to say thank you to all y'all for sticking with me. And I'm going to need a favor. Yeah, I'm coming begging. I just said thank you for 5,000 subscribers and I'm going to need another favor. I'm going to need y'all to go on over and listen to my latest video of Auntie's advice. We got a young lady over there who needs some encouragement. You know how you be at the office and they be passing around the card. She don't want no dating advice. She kind of I think she needs some encouragement. I'm going to give her some words too later on this weekend. But I'm passing the card around at the office. That's me. I done bought a card to the office. I'm passing it around and I'm saying, hey, this young lady needs some words of encouragement. She needs just some prayer. She needs lots of things. And I want you all to go over there and sign her card. And signing the card means dropping down in the comments and leaving a message for her. And please, it's a short video. It's only 3 minutes. It ain't gonna take too much of your time. Do it watch it while you're using the bathroom. You can watch it real quick. But I want to get on to this Married at First Sight review because I know we've been talking about how boring this season is. It's not no real fireworks. It's not really like in your face. But I'm telling y'all, we in the Matrix. We in the Matrix. We're going to have to put our thinking caps on. We're going to have to go real deep on this one. I told y'all last week, this is a HR nightmare. This is some paperwork, a nightmare going on this whole season. It's deep, y'all. It ain't surface level. It's really deep. They showed a little bit this week of Lauren still on here crying over Orion. What for? I kept telling y'all before. I know everybody mad at me over my viewpoints of Lauren. Why is Lauren still crying over Orion? Somebody told me, well, you can't catch feelings in 14 days. To this point, to the point that you breaking down and crying like this, I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I think Lauren is somewhat like, any of y'all watch Ready to Love with me or Make a Move with me? Ashley, if If any of you have been watching Make a Move with me and Ashley, and you think about my earlier viewpoint of Ashley, where I say some people like to use the victim label in order to actually get more attention. Sometimes the victim label gets you a lot of attention. Shoot, Mary J. Blige, not to say she didn't, experience all those things. Mary J. Blige has a whole song catalog around being done wrong by men. It doesn't mean that they're bad people. It just means that they're very good at expressing their pain. And a lot of times in their expression of their pain and their hurt, that gets them a lot of attention. And I'm telling you about Lauren. What Lauren does, just like Ashley on Ready to Love, is they turn their pain into their stories, which also garners them attention. Lauren might be able to write a book. She might be able to go on a tour. She might be able to monetize what she does, because I'm telling you, she's really good at it. I don't believe she has this much pain over Orion. This might be a lot of pain built up over past relationships that have all failed. And that's what typically people who have pain do. Actresses do it. When you have an actress on television and she's crying on a scene, most of the time they're remembering a past hurt because they can recall that hurt and now they can recall it in that moment. Lauren is crying way too much to be talking about Orion. But they weren't on the show too long, so I'm not going to get on it too long, but I'm just saying here now, my viewpoint stands with Lauren. And in fact, I'm going to need y'all to come back tomorrow, because tomorrow afternoon or whatever, I'm going to do a video on the after party. And Lauren was on the after party. And I'm going to tell you, Emily cut Lauren a look that I'm going to talk about. She cut her a look on the after party. If you haven't watched the after party, watch it and look for the look I'm talking about. And then come back tomorrow and I'm going to tell you about what that look was that Emily saw, because Emily picked up on it in that moment. The look I've picked up on all season long. But I'm going to save that for tomorrow. But we're going to talk about this, what we call a boring season, even this boring housewarming parties. Y'all remember they do this housewarming every year. Every year they do housewarming parties. But we got to say that this got to be the most boring housewarming parties. Remember last year's housewarming parties was lit. Remember who was old girl from there with San Diego? Their parties was fun. They did the retro parties, the fun parties. Everybody put a lot to their parties. They got a lot of good food to serve at their parties. They really did it up with the entertainment and the games and everything. And these people's parties, boring too. Boring parties. I understand why Emily's friends got drunk, because when you go to a boring party like that, there's nothing else to do but just drink and get drunk to take your mind off of how boring this party is. Emily's friends, you don't take them out as your wing girls. Emily's friends, we could tell they like to drink, because the minute they came in, they said, pull me some vodka and some Coke. He said, what do you want, some vodka or some Coke? They go, no, both. Pour both in a cup. In them solo cups, you're about to get drunk when you serve it out of solo cups. Solo cups are for getting lit. Solo cups are not for being sophisticated, right? They're for getting lit. And that's what them girls did. They got lit with them wigs on, and they took Brennan outside and they said, we're going to hem Brennan up. But guess what? They got caught in the matrix. Brennan's like, you ain't going to come out here and hem me up. Absolutely not. He said, I got this wig on and I can't come out of character. Did you hear him? First of all, Brennan, you can't come out of character, period. You don't need no wig to come out of character, because you haven't been coming out of character the whole season long. But he slipped up. Did you hear him say when they was getting on him about not helping her take food out the oven or prepare the food? They was absolutely right. They was absolutely right about all of it, because I noticed it. I noticed that he didn't help her bring her bags in. I saw that she was struggling with them bags with that broken wrist. I saw it all. I said, dang, Brennan is a mean son of a gun. This man don't care about no one. He don't even care about an old woman on the street. Let me tell you something. Forget alone being Emily's wife. If you saw a woman, period, struggling with all those bags, man, you should help her. She don't even need to be your wife. She don't even need to be your girlfriend. You don't even need to know her. If you see a person struggling that bad with a broken wrist and some bags, maybe you should help her just a little bit, get her bags to her car. But Brennan slipped up. He slipped up and he said, well, I would have helped if this had been real. Real? What do you mean, Brennan? This is not real for you, Brennan? We in the matrix, y'all. He slipped up 1 minute because no, it's not real. It's an alternate universe for Brennan. He's lying. He's faking it, just like we said. And he don't want to be with Emily. We all know that. And he slipped up and he said the exact truth. This ain't the real world. And so I'm just going to behave like I do in the real world, which is still mean. He's still a mean son of a gun. I ain't got to love nobody. I ain't got to like nobody. None of that. To say, girl, you over here struggling with all these bags with a broken wrist. Let me help you. And them friends were right. He wasn't doing hardly no work at that party. And he was making fun of it. Just like they said a couple of episodes ago on the after party. They said that he laughs at Emily at her expense. Just why? Then they said, oh, you're not going to help her, Brennan? He says, oh, oops. He said, you're not going to help her, Brennan? And he says, well, we'll give her 2 hands. That shit wasn't funny. That was not funny, but that's who he really, really is. Brennan says, you ain't got nothing on me. I'm in the Matrix. What you see, you don't really see. You ain't got no proof of it. Where is it? It's gone. Just like in the Matrix. First you thought you saw it, then you realize, oh, it's not there. What's going on with my mind? I thought I saw something. These women are over here saying, I thought Emily told us some things, but now that we confronting him and we got this alcohol running through our bodies, we can't put it all together. We call it the Matrix. It's all getting fuzzy. They trying to hem him up, but let me tell you, Brennan was moving around like this, even though we knew that Emily fed them a lot of information. She fed them a lot of information because they came in with a whole lot of information that they didn't just gather from this one party. They gathered it from Emily's conversations because Emily has absolutely been running her mouth. She's been running her mouth and spilling it all to her friends, letting her friends know just how bad it really is. And them girls came in hot and lit. Honestly, they didn't even need no alcohol. They didn't really need no alcohol because I think they came in the door lit. They came in the door on fire, ready to get this popping. A couple of weeks ago, I was calling Brennan Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. He's showing one thing on the camera behind the scenes. He's a totally different person. Well, we saw both of them this episode. We saw both Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde this episode because the way that Brennan was denying, what we all can see, told me, oh, he's real good at this. He been doing this a while. Like I tell you, sometimes when you meet people, you think you're the only victim of whatever it is their little personality quirk is. Emily ain't the only victim of Brennan because he knows how to do it too well. This ain't the first rodeo. It's what I said about Orion and Lauren on their little stuff, which I'm not going to keep going down the road with them. It's not their first rodeo. They've been doing this stuff a long time. They're too good at it. This ain't just for us. It ain't just this partner that they're with this right now. This is what they do. This is how they behave in relationships. And now we know why they got problems. Just like we talk about Emily. So, because I'm going to tell you one thing about Emily. She ran her lips to her friends. She talked about how bad Brennan is, all the things he's doing, which I believe he did do. But let me tell you about Emily. She really shouldn't have been telling her friends all the dirt. If I'm going to really talk about bad habits in relationships, I'm going to talk about that bad habit with Emily. Because Emily really soured her friends on Brennan. Because let's say there is a scenario that you're out there in the world and you got another man that may not be doing all the things right. I'm not talking about Brennan and Emily no more. I'm talking about the real world, like Brennan says. I'm out the Matrix for a minute, y'all. Come on over here out the Matrix. You shouldn't be telling all your friends all the negative things about your man, because let me tell you, once your man gets better at them, once you get over them, once you work them out, your friends gonna always remember. They're gonna always remember. And now you're gonna have another problem on your hand that your friends don't like your man, and then your man ain't gonna like your friends, even though you and your man made up. So I'm gonna tell you another bad habit of Emily, because that probably comes from her non-dating experience. She told them friends a whole lot about Brennan. You could tell. And she shouldn't have done it. She shouldn't have done it. Now, I don't think she and Brennan gonna make up, so it ain't gonna make no difference. But if you out in the real world and you ain't in this matrix we caught in right now, then don't do what Emily did. She did too much. It's okay to talk about some of the problems you're having, some of the things you kind of work through. But first of all, you need to be careful what friends you tell that to. And second is you need to be careful how much you give them. Okay, whether it's just venting, okay, the difference between venting or actually you're asking your friends for advice. But Emily already done soured her friends on Brennan. So even if Brennan ever came around, which I don't believe he is, then Emily would have to figure out a way to get her friends to come around, because them friends don't like Brennan one bit. Another part Brennan got tripped up on was he said to Emily, he said, hey, is this the first? He said, this may be a little bit more of adjustment for you because it's the first time you ever lived with someone, which means Brennan has lived with a woman before. We haven't even heard that. Somebody dropped down in my comments last week with a keen eye and said that when they were at Brennan's house, they saw some feminine decorations. I think it was like a couple of items in the kitchen and refrigerator that said they looked like they belonged to a woman, that it didn't look like something a man would have. And now Brennan's talking about he's lived with a woman before. I hope we ain't got no Chris situation. I hope we ain't got no situation, and I'm talking about Chris and Paige, where Brennan is maybe only 1 foot out the door of a past relationship. We've seen this before. People come on these shows, these Married at First Sight and these dating shows, and they're not fully out of a past relationship. And then they get into this relationship, and next thing you know, the old girlfriend is calling and saying, what's going on? What do you mean you got married? What do you mean? And now that girlfriend is trying to get him back. And now next thing you know, he's torn between two women. He's torn between the Emily he just met and the woman that maybe broke up and had to move out the house just 2 months ago. Because you know what? Brennan strikes me as a person that would do that, y'all. He would strike me as a person that would, I think we even saw it on The Ultimatum or Love is Blind. Folks just getting out of relationships, going on these dating shows. And then next thing you know, you competing with an ex-girlfriend that really is just an ex from 3 weeks ago, a month ago. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised because I know right now that we in the matrix of this whole season 17, and they are trying to pull the wool over our eyes. They fogging up the screen between Brennan, Cameron, and Austin. What we see is not really what's the truth. I 100 believe it. We'll see, but definitely come back from the after party because Emily was on the after party, and I'm gonna talk some more about her and Brennan. Because she definitely spilled a lot to these girlfriends because she started telling them that you don't like to film. She was telling them a lot. And they was bringing it up in this matrix when they talking to Brennan. But he was wiggling out of it. He was moving around like this, just making them feel like they were crazy drunk women. They like, I know we've been drinking, but I know what I know is the truth. You could tell they was a little confused because he was wiggling so well. And they were like, but we can't pin him down. We can't pin him down. We can't get them to confess because, girls, you are in the matrix. They showed a little bit of Lauren and Orion. They showed Orion out of the matrix. He said, I got out the matrix. I had 1 foot in, 1 foot out, but I got out completely. He said, I'm getting out this matrix. And Lauren, she wanted to stay in the matrix with Orion. She wanted Orion to stay in the matrix where you just in this space where you really don't know what's going on and you looking crazy and you're not looking at the truth because Lauren likes being in the matrix. I told you, she likes to be a victim because it brings her notoriety and attention, and it's a place she likes to live. It's a place that she likes to live there. I mean to tell you, good Lord, even this sister-in-law and this brother was trying to get her to let go and to get fully out of the matrix, and they darn near had to do an intervention to pull her out of it. This don't have nothing to do with liking or loving Orion or thinking that she and Orion could have had a good future. Nah. This is just what she does. This is what happens all the time. All my Ready to Love Make a Move fans, it's Ashley all over, but without all the nails and the hair and the earrings and the makeup. It's the same thing. It's why I told you, you see the duality between Lauren. You see when she's crying and she's in a fetal position and she's crying, but then the other times you see her on the attack. You see how she can get down up in there and she can create scenarios that she later on becomes the victim for. It's the same thing with Ashley, y'all. I know some of y'all don't watch it, but it's the same thing. Let me create situations. Let me stir the pot so I can quickly become the victim and then I can cry. But then also I can also go on the attack and I can look at you and laugh in your face because you were red skinned. And then I can rationalize everything away in the end. It's the same behavior. Even Lauren said on here and said her favorite defense is humor. Did you hear what she said? You see how she rationalized away her laughing at Orion? My favorite form of defense is humor. So when you feel bad, girl, or whatever, you just laugh at them. I told y'all. She rationalizes away. She says, yeah, my anger was on the surface level, but now that I start to think what I really have is more resentment and pain. There you go. Because anger will keep you yelling and screaming. But when she can quickly move into that resentment and pain, and now she can start crying. But come back tomorrow because I'm going to have a lot to say about Lauren. Because I'm going to tell you, Emily picked up on Lauren. Emily picked up on Lauren on the after party. Like I said, go watch it. Go watch it. And there's a scene, it's short, where Emily looks at Lauren and goes like this. What am I dealing with? Am I in the Matrix? Yep, Emily, you in the Matrix with Lauren too. The brother tried to give Lauren one of the best pieces of advice. He says effort is a two-way street. Bravo to that brother. He said effort is a two-way street. He says both people have to be willing to try. It just can't be you, Lauren. But what the brother is overlooking is the incentive for Lauren to be the only one trying. See, when people are stuck in situations, we always want to just call them a victim. But you also have to ask yourself, why are they so willing to stay in that position? Because in that position, there's another part where they're getting a reward. See, most people think being a victim isn't a reward, but there's some people out here in the world where the victim position is the reward. The victim position is the place where they get the attention. The victim place is when people rally around them and hug them and say, hey girl, let's go out and go to dinner, and the people give them attention. You ain't got no kids like that. You ain't even seen no kid like that likes to cry, so you give them attention. That's what kids like that, they grow up to be the Laurens in the world. You don't give me no attention any other kind of way, but when I'm crying and I'm a victim, that's when everybody comes and supports me. So that's where I like to stay, right? That's where I like to stay. And sometimes people aren't even trying to make you a victim, but you know how you can get them to make you a victim? What you do is you attack them. You poke at them. You do things to get them riled up. Lauren went to the softest spot of Orion. We know he got a lot of soft spots. We know he got a lot of them. But I kept saying from the very beginning, why is Lauren in this backyard? Why is she in the backyard of Orion? Poking. Why are we talking about this in Cancun? Why are we not out on a paddle boat? Why are we not out on the beautiful ocean on the beach? Why are we sitting in a room poking? And then what she underestimated who Orion was. This is what happens when you poke a person and you think, oh, he's weak because he's this frail little white man. He can't, I'm this strong African-American female and I'm a poke. And then what happened was she got bit by that pit bull and she said, wow, I got to the victim position even quicker than I thought. Now she want to stay in that matrix. She want to stay over there and she keep wanting to drag Orion back into the matrix with her because this is where she want to stay. Orion said, no, I'm out. He says, no, I'm out. He got problems. He got real problems. But I think this season, one of the things a lot of people have overlooked is they've overlooked the part that Lauren plays in this cycle. So I want to make sure, now I don't want nobody ever talking about I'm a woman hater and I don't like Lauren, right? Okay, because I'm going to tell you, you got to be wary of both people. Out here in the world, you got to look out for both of them. You got to look out for the Orions. You got to look out for the Laurens. You got to look out for the Brennans. You got to look out for anybody that likes to keep you up in the matrix, okay, saying one thing with their mouths and doing a whole nother thing. Because that's when you know you in the matrix. When what they're saying is not lining up to what they doing. That's when you know somebody trying to keep you caught in the matrix. Now, if we're going to talk about the most difficult matrix we in, I'm going to tell you that one of the ones I'm finding the most struggle with right now is the one with Becca and Austin. Let me tell you, y'all, this is a hell of a matrix. It's a hell of a matrix. But you know who's really picking up on Becca's starting to pick up on it because like my thumbnail says, are they all con artists? I got that from what Becca said. Did y'all hear the moment Becca said, yeah, I'm wondering, is he just a con artist? See, that's that little gut feeling, women, that little intuition we get. We don't really have no evidence to it. It's like the lit girlfriends was having with Brennan. You know, you got this sense. You don't really have no real evidence of it because he's really not getting tripped up too much, but it's a sense of it. It's a feel of it. You hear it and it all sounds so wonderful. And he says, well, I don't want to be cynical. I want to be happy, but a part of it feels too good to be true. A part of it doesn't feel real. A part of it feels like I'm being put to sleep and I'm not seeing something even though it's there. It's because you're in the matrix. And you just see this and you hear him. Because let me tell you, Austin is saying all the right things. He's doing all the right things. He's helpful. He's cleaning the kitchen. He's saying all the right things. But let me tell you where I'm starting to hone in with Austin. It's really start clicking because, he keeps bringing up this religion thing. He keeps bringing up the religion thing, right? It's a big issue. But what he always says is, well, we just want to keep getting to know each other. And then we'll talk about the big issues later. That's even what he said to Becca's friends. He said, well, right now we're just getting to know each other. And we're going to save the big issues for later. So the big issues that we know are religion and the having of kids. That's what we say. But when they're sitting there in front of their friends, they said, oh no, we're in alignment on everything. You're not in alignment on everything because we know that Austin said that he wanted kids. Now, let me tell you something about this religion thing. This is also when I know we in the matrix. Because when Becca started bringing up to his friend and saying, well, one of our biggest, differences is the religion. And Becca went to her whole speech about, I just don't like the way people treat people who are Christians and they put them down. First of all, Becca, you basically denounced the entire religion because of the people you've met that are Christians or call themselves Christians, and you don't like their behavior. Okay? That's not how you choose or be faithful to the religion based on the people. Then be different. Be different. That's like denouncing or not wanting to be or not want to go out with different races of people because of certain bad characters are part of that race or that religion. You can't denounce an entire religion because of the Christians you have met or the ones you feel were not real Christians. But she's still talking about, I just don't want to have my kids. I just don't want to be a part of that. Well, that's where they're going to run into problems, because if they have children, then that's going to be a source of problem in the house. How do you raise the children? You see, what I realized about Austin, and I'm going to get back to the matrix he's got us in, is remember, Austin is roommates with a woman. He knows how to live with a woman. He knows how to get along with a woman. He knows how to do his part in the house. He knows how to cook. He knows how to clean. He knows how to be helpful. Even that woman in that house said that Austin was a good roommate, that Austin takes out the trash. So when we see Austin doing all these things for Becca, what I have to remember is he is doing nice things, but that is just what he does. He does nice things. He's not doing these things for Becca because he does them for his roommate. I think he does them in general. His friends also, if you notice, his friends bring him plants because they know him. They say that he's a caretaker. He had lots of plants in his apartment, right? But what that guy exposed about the matrix was he says, wow, that's interesting that you say that this is a problem with you because I'm an atheist. What? His best friend or one of his good friends is an atheist? So then you say, wow. So you mean to tell me that Austin's best friend is an atheist? So then Becca's looking at, wow, well, if he ain't got no problem with you being an atheist, that means it shouldn't be a problem with me being an atheist. That's where you're wrong, Becca. That's where you're wrong because he's not married to that man. He's not going to raise any kids with that man. He doesn't have to agree on religious principles and the way they're going to raise their kids with that man. He can be friends with an atheist because what he is saying is that man's religion doesn't interfere with my relationship with him. That's what he's saying. This is why Austin can be friends with Becca, look like he likes her, tells her nice thing, because Austin can separate things about you that he doesn't like versus what he would want in a wife. I do not believe Austin is over any of this stuff with Becca. I don't think he's over her illnesses. I don't think he's over her religion. And I don't think he's over her not wanting to have kids. He's not over it. But what he's able to do exactly what he's done to his best friend. He's able to do exactly what he does to his female roommate. and now he's doing to Becca. I can get along with people. It's actually a good characteristic. I don't need to agree with you on everything because it's really what I say. I don't need to agree with everybody. That's why I don't get in no mess in my comments with people. What for? We ain't raising no kids together. I'm not married to you. You're not part of my daily life. I don't need us to agree on everything. We're not going to be fighting like cats and dogs. My friendships don't have to always be in complete agreement. That's why I can get along with y'all down in the comments, because it's not going to be predicated on us always agreeing. And that's what Austin is doing. But Becca's in the matrix, because what Becca thinks is she's translating all this agreement. She's translating all of this, him not fighting with her or bringing it up, with that he really wants to be with her for life. And it's not the same thing. It is not the same thing. Becca's over here thinking Austin's going to be able to get around the fact that she's messy. And if you notice, he's always the one doing the cleaning in the kitchen, and she's always the one eating. Okay, let's be real. And I think there's a lot of things that Austin doesn't like about Becca. He's not saying anything, but he ain't going to put up with it with life. He's not. And in the end, I wouldn't even be surprised. I'm going to go out on another limb. I wouldn't be surprised if in the end, Becca doesn't want to even be with Austin. Because let me tell you, Becca is so firmly rooted in this dislike for the Christian faith that we already know Austin ain't going to back up off of it. He's not going to come around. And it's going to turn Becca off. Because Becca is really adamant about a lot of things in her life. Like y'all keep mentioning, the not liking patriarchy. Remember, she kept wanting to talk about politics. Becca has some real strong opinions about a lot of things. And I think Austin has sensed that those strong opinions she has, he doesn't align with them, but he's not going to rock the boat, because what he's doing to Becca is he's made her the roommate and the best friend, that we ain't got to agree on everything to be friends. We really don't. We don't have to agree. We can get along. We can live together. We can hug on each other. We can kiss. We can be kind to each other, because we don't need to agree on these big items, because we're not really building a future together. We're not raising a family together. It's not important to our friendship. It's not important to our friendship. And that's why it looks like Austin is in this game and he's not in the game. They are in a matrix too. They are in a matrix. Now, the last con artist or matrix we in, I'm coming to find out. Remember, I kept saying that I believe there's a lot going on behind the scene. I think all these men are talking to each other. None of these men want to be with these women, but they've all come up with a different game plan to handle the women so that they don't look bad on this show. You know, a lot of people were mad at Orion the way he is, but in the end, Orion was the one that actually spoke the truth. Then we sent him underground because we called him a slut shaming. But from the very beginning, Orion was actually starting to speak his truth. And then last week I was a bit confused. I'm in the matrix. I ain't gonna lie. I ain't gonna lie. There's a couple of times I've been in the matrix myself. Every once in a while I stick my head out and gain a little bit of clarity, but then I get pulled back into this matrix they got going on. And last week I was saying that it was only Claire who was underground. That it was Claire who was underground. But now I'm about to do an Orion flip-flop, because now I realize, damn, Cameron, damn, you in the matrix too? This episode exposed Cameron. But first of all, I do want to give an apology to Cameron. And a lot of y'all out there corrected me on it when I was saying, I don't know, maybe Cameron don't have no good job. Maybe he don't make enough money. Maybe that's why Claire doesn't like him. I don't know. I was, like I said, I've been in the matrix too. I've been in the matrix all season as well. But some of y'all kept saying, no, you can make good money fixing bikes. You can make big money fixing bikes. And I said, yeah, well, maybe if you sell bikes, but just fixing bikes. But let me tell you, my eyes were open this episode. I finally got the big picture that some of y'all was down in the comments talking about and telling me about, right? And when we went to the bike shop of Cameron and I saw the bikes that he was fixing, I said, oh, yeah. Yeah, it's probably a little more than I was thinking, too. Because it reminded me of, I don't know if you guys have ever come to LA or you've ever been in San Francisco, especially in the downtown areas where they have the bike messengers and they do the bikes. A lot of these people have these real expensive bikes and they tape up the bikes because the bikes are so expensive. They don't want you to know the brand name of the bike. And these racing bikes. And also you see racing bikes, you see different types of bikes. And when he said he was a preeminent, only 1 in 5 in the whole U.S., that was an expert in carbon fiber. I was like, oh wow, okay, so yeah, he's charging a pretty penny to fix some of these bikes, because I know bikes can cost up lots of money, 20,000. I mean, especially some bigger bikes, they cost even more than that. But I have friends who are real bikers, and they easily drop $8,000-9,000 on a bike easily. But anyway, so I do want to issue an apology to Cameron about that. I was wrong. I was absolutely wrong about that. But I also want to talk about what else I was wrong with, because I was thinking it was only Claire who was underground. And now I see why Cameron has been running scared. Earlier in this episode, I think it was the very beginning, I think I started telling you I believe that Cameron is a lone wolf. I think it might have been episode 1 or episode 2. I talked about it back then. I said Cameron is a lone wolf. He's not used to working with a person. You could tell by his life. He doesn't have people around him. You know, he moved here from New Zealand all alone. He's used to going out on his own. He's probably used to being out on the bike trail all by himself. When Claire said she didn't bike ride, he said, that's okay. I don't care. Because what he said was, I'm going to ride my bike anyway. And I'm cool with going bike riding by myself. He's okay with being alone. He lives down there in that basement apartment with the spiders. Okay, he's a loner. He's a lone wolf. There is no woman Cameron has been bringing to that basement apartment with spider traps all around. Brennan lives alone. Brennan lives by himself in that bike shop. He probably sleeps there sometimes, to be honest with you. He's a loner. Okay, and this whole thing they talked about this season about he's not really comfortable or really close to his dad. This was more a glimpse into his Matrix world. He doesn't have a lot of people around him. He doesn't want many people around him. And listen, he was really afraid this episode of being found out. The uncomfortableness that Cameron has around Claire's therapist friends is that he didn't want to get found out. He didn't want to get exposed. He says, I don't want to be around. It's like the devil don't want to be around people who got clear vision. Right? People don't want to expose. They don't want to be around no psychic. They don't want no psychic looking into their soul. And Cameron didn't want these therapists looking deep inside of him, because if they did, they would see what's going on. And right now, Claire is in the Matrix. So she can't see clearly. She thinks she's being over here being a therapist, but she's kind of like the drunk friends of Emily. She in the Matrix, so she really not seeing clearly. But when she bring these therapist people over, they're going to be clear-sighted. And Cameron was nervous. You see, at the last minute, Cameron didn't have no friends coming on. See, this is another thing. Be careful of in your dating world. Meet these people's friends. Meet their family. Don't get into no relationship with no one if you haven't met any of their friends, their family, or no one. Don't do it. Because what they're doing is they could be keeping you away from learning about them. You see, Cameron didn't have no family at that wedding. Talk about he danced around and, well, we're going to go back to New Zealand. He never told Claire the truth. He didn't say that, no, my family doesn't even know. He said, oh, we're just going to go back and have a wedding in New Zealand. And then she left it alone. She didn't ask the deeper question about, well, do they even know you're getting married? You see how Cameron dodged that question? He acted like he answered it, but he didn't really answer it. Because when he said, we'll go back home to New Zealand, he didn't add the information that, no, they don't even know we got married. And Claire just assumed they knew, but they couldn't make the wedding. She assumed that. And he was happy keeping her in the Matrix. Now we come to find out he don't get along with his daddy. He probably don't get along with too many people. He said the only person he really got along with was that grandmama who died. And he said that grandmama was mean. That's who he said he got along with. He said, that's the one I'm most aligned with. He told you then who he was most aligned with. And it was his mean grandmama, who was in the army or the Navy or wherever she was in the military. And she was tough. We in the Matrix with Cameron. And he didn't want to sit down and talk to those therapists because he was afraid those therapists was going to go deep down in his soul. But when he got in front of those therapists, guess what started happening? Them therapists sat there, double teamed him. They sat there in that chair, crossed their legs like they was in a therapy session. And eventually, Cameron spilled the beans. And Cameron said, I'm over here drowning. He says, I'm not just sinking. He says, I'm not swimming, I'm sinking. And there it was. There it was, just for that little bit of moment, the truth. Just like the little bit of truth that came out with Brennan when Brennan said, well, if this were real, there it was. Don't overlook it. There it was. And here was Cameron saying, I'm not swimming. I'm sinking. I'm drowning. Cameron don't like nothing about Claire's bossiness, her pickiness, the way she talks to him, her abrasive wording. He doesn't like her delivery. Because sometimes Claire has some good points, but her delivery is horrible. Like I said, she's going to really have to work on that to be a good therapist because her delivery is horrible. I know a lot of y'all sometimes say, oh, I should be doing a relationship counseling, coaching. My delivery ain't always the best delivery. I might hurt some people's feelings out here. I don't always have the best delivery because I might hurt some people out here. But Claire, this is her bread and butter. This is how she make her job. She better figure out a way to deliver some messages in a better way because the way she delivers messages, even when she has a good point, it ain't good sometimes. It really isn't good. When they had this whole spat over this food and when you going to get the food's going to be cold, the food's going to be stale. I ain't gonna lie, I'd be like, the party's in 1 hour or 2 hours. We still ain't got no food here. We still ain't got no food. And then she's like, well, the food's gonna be dried out. Well, you should have thought of a meal plan where it wouldn't get dried out, or you could have kept it warm, or you should have figured out beforehand. Her point was a good point. She don't want the food should be here, but they should have put a little bit more thought into it. And it sounds like Claire expected Cameron to do all the thinking about it. Maybe she said, I'll take care of the decorations. I don't even know what the decorations were because in the end, Claire was over here drinking out of a whole pot. A whole pot. These two, they didn't get together and plan this party. This was some last minute stuff because she's over here drinking out of a pot. What the heck is that? And when Cameron in the middle of all with the friends there spilling the tea about, are you good? Are you good friends? Or are you close to your father? He said, no, it's distant. And what would you tell a man who's on his deathbed about marriage? Oh, wait, that's some deflection. First of all, that was some matrix deflection because you know what he just did right there? Because first of all, what Claire was about to do was Claire was about to say, you lied to me or you revealed or you withheld the truth that your father didn't even know that you were going to get married. Okay, that's where she was going. She was about to criticize him over the fact that he didn't reveal to her that his father didn't know about the wedding. Okay, that she didn't reveal the whole truth. But the way he got out of it was he turned it around and said, well, what would you expect me to do with someone who's on their deathbed? What that did was immediately disarmed Claire. Right? Because now Claire can't get on him because now what Claire has to tend to is the fact that the father is on the deathbed. The deathbed becomes the conversation. No longer is the conversation about you got me in this matrix. You were lying to me. You saying one thing, but it's another thing, right? What you did was you deflected to your father dying, and now that becomes a conversation. Now what does everybody do? Everybody backs up, says, okay, I'm sorry. I didn't know your father was on his deathbed. Now we're not going to talk about the fact that you kind of misled me. You see how the matrix works? That's why I said, you mean to tell me Cameron is a part of it too? Cameron is a part of it, y'all. They asked Cameron, how did you know you was ready to do this? And Cameron said, because I don't have no relationship baggage. No, because you ain't got no relationships. You ain't got no friends. You ain't got no friends. That's what I'm telling you. That's a red flag. That is a red flag. Where are your friends? The only people that came to your wedding that were so-called your friends that are still here are the people he became like somewhat adopted by. He's got fragmented friendships. I'm not going to say he ain't got no friend. He got some fragmented friendships. I don't know how deep his friendships run. Let me say that. He may have some friendships. He may have some acquaintances, but I don't know how deep they run. That's what I'm really concerned about with Cameron. Has he been able to forge a really, really deep relationship with anyone? Or does he have sort of surface level friendships? But he told those therapists, you know what, he says, I almost feel like, do we got to go get a Cameron? Because he's over here talking about, Claire's really religious and I'm definitely not going to raise my kids religious. Maybe Cameron should be with Becca because they actually talk about the same exact thing. maybe Cameron should have been paired with Becca. We always talk about wife swaps. We always talk about wife swaps and husband swaps. Maybe Cameron should be over there with Becca because they talking the same old thing and they both have the same strong convictions. We're not talking about they could go either way. They got strong convictions. There is no way that Claire and Cameron are going to be able to raise kids and a family together, just like I said with Austin and Becca. This religion thing is too big of a divide. Too big. He already said that, Claire doesn't really give him any expression of feeling towards him. And, she ain't really giving him the energy he wants. So he's like, I ain't going to put the mental energy into her either. It's all just one big con. This whole season is one big con. But anyway, I want y'all to come back tomorrow because I'm going to do the after party because I want to talk about the fact of why do all the ladies every week wear pink? Somebody pointed it out to me last week, made me notice it. I kept saying, you're right. We've now seen several episodes of after party and everybody wears pink. What is the solidarity that the women have? The women are sending us a message in the after party. I don't think any of these women like any of the men. And also I'm kind of finding out they're not even showing up for the after party. But I don't want to spoil too much of it here. But come back tomorrow because I want to talk about that after party, y'all. Anyway, talk to you later. Bye.